I believe so much in the power of a networking community for women. Men have how they network and grow their businesses or grow their career, or just a place where they can relax and help themselves in terms of mentoring. Women don't have that because we're often belabored with the work of looking after our husbands, our homes, our children, the church, the mosque, and the community as well. So we don't have that much time free for us. So a networking community is essential for our economic and social development. So in the networking community, we're looking for a place where women, girls in careers in business, as young as girls in universities, because they're starting businesses very early these days. We're looking at putting them together in this community where they can connect. From the connection, they can share. From being able to share, they learn from each other, and from being able to learn from each other, they can inspire themselves to do better things, take bold steps to be more in life. So that's an area that we're looking at really intensifying our efforts on this year. Another area that AfriWomen is big on is access to finance, because no matter how you teach women all of these skills or you help them in terms of their personal development, they need to have access to finance. And culturally and religiously, women, we just don't take finances to promote our businesses or to start our businesses. For some people argue that there are lots of barriers that holds us back other than religious and cultural reasons. The climate is also not very favorable for women in terms of they ask us for so many collaterals, and where there are no collaterals, they are making demands of us in terms of counterpart funding from our own savings to shore up what we're going to get from banks. And the banks are also offering us no moratorium. They're offering double-digit figures as interest on loans that we take. So a lot of women shy from that. But we know that men that are doing very well in business or big organizations and corporations on the national level, at international level, they're leveraging on their ability to access finance other than their savings if they're going to move their business from subsistence to another level. So we continue to research and continue to campaign for access of women to low interest loan and grants, and we've been successful in doing that, because in 2020 through the CBN I was able to empower women by going through financial literacy with them, which basically just means having your NIN, having your BVN, opening bank accounts. So we were negotiating and working with a couple of banks that are easy for the women to access, close to their communities. So our women got enrollment in mass and opened bank accounts. So from the bank accounts, being able to have that, when the opportunity came to get the CBN low interest loan for them with decent moratorium, I applied for quite a few of our women, and through the cooperatives combined together, women have been gaining access to finance. In 2020, we did 11+ million for our women, and they're in various marketing schemes and various businesses, so they're able to accelerate, sustain, and some were able to start their businesses. So that's for access to finance. One other area that AfriWomen is also big on is advocacy, sensitization, and awareness, and campaigns, and creating data for women economic and social development. In terms of advocacy, we have done 38 collaborations and about 40 advocacy campaigns where we go out into various communities, and we go out to talk about various topics like gender-based violence. So we're visiting the Faculty of Law in UI, we're going to communities, speaking to people on the road, what's their take, what's their perspective on gender-based violence, why do we have it, why are women the primary targets, why are men sometimes also targets, what is going on in the mind of perpetrators and victims, how is our society contributing to violence in our society. What can we do as individuals, as group, as communities, as government, as policy makers, policy implementers? What can we do to alleviate the situation? So we're also speaking to people about parenting today's children. I get invited to radio stations on most international days. I would have State Broadcasting Corporation ask my views and perspectives, and through the advocacy and me going out and speaking on radio station, some radio stations are reaching 5 million people at a go, people in diaspora, people in other states, because they've got radio stations in those states, and some TV stations are being watched by other states as well. So I'm reaching millions of people, talking about the economic development and social development of women and girls, particularly in Nigeria and in Oyo State where we are. We're talking about the challenges, how multiple and diverse stakeholders can collaborate with us and help us to develop programs and opportunities for women to overcome the challenges they experience in the economic and social sectors. When you talk about economic and social development of women, it's also not limited to just what we do informally and formal education. It's also about sensitizing them to the power of community participation, decision making at the micro level and macro level. When you look at our National Assembly and our State Assembly, how many women are there? Very negligible in number across Nigeria and across the state as well. When you look at the academia, how many women are professors? When you look at the hospitals as well, how many women are surgeons and doctors? When you look at even some other professions like in technology, how many women are there? How many girls are there? Even when the girls take up technology, science, by the time they get older, the society, our cultural values and religious values are putting out messages there that makes them to look at ancillary jobs to high-profile technology and digital world where women earn more. It's become a male-dominated area. So through advocacy, we're speaking to thousands and millions of people. I know regularly, on a yearly basis, we do advocacy, an average of 6. So this year, we're going to not relent on our efforts. We're going to go out more and speak to people, because we're looking at creating awareness about the plights of women and how stakeholders, diverse, can join hands with government. Government can't do it all. We all have to join hands with them to help move development of women forward. I know I say a lot of development of women and all of that, but I know when we develop women, we're developing the family, we're developing the community, we're developing the nation and the world at large. So when we say AfriWomen is developing women, we're also touching on the boy child as well. I know recently that we had opportunity to provide training for our beneficiaries. Some of the trainings were male-dominated, like aluminium roof, aluminium windows, and all of that. We offered it to the boy child, and we have proof of that because it came from the ITF, and they did very well on that program. So it's a case of, we just spoke to the women, àbí tó fẹ́ kọ́ iṣẹ́ ọwọ́ aluminium àbí nǹkan bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn, and they send their boys there. So if we have opportunities for the boy child and men, we will gladly extend it to them. At the end of the day, the journey is growing a community that is vibrant, growing a community that has human capacity that is very high. So that's the work we've been doing at AfriWomen. We collected part of our journey in terms of personal development. Like I said earlier on, was about how we get our women to participate in decision making at all levels. We encourage a lot of our women to get their PVCs. We did some work where INEC could come to our centers or the areas that we're working at, and they could enroll our women en masse and also the men in the neighborhood, their husbands, their sons, and their daughters who are ready to vote come the next election. And I know, in conjunction with some well-meaning Nigeria who understand the power of PVC and PVC for women, they collaborated with us in provision of logistics, where women could go to the ward when INEC was at the ward to get their PVC. And we're also talking about them now collecting their PVC in the plastic version and the paper version once they arrive the ward as well. What was surprising about that was that as soon as a sizable amount of the women collected their PVC, I know I went around last year preparing them for their exams, because the adult literacy centers have their exams around October. So we always have revision in preparation for the exam. I know when I went around speaking to the women, and the women were asking me for directions where we're going to be casting our vote, I just chuckled aloud. I know where I'm going, but I'm not one for saying this is where you should go. But as election is drawing near, I know a lot of the women want to vote you, Governor Seyi Makinde. They want your administration to be back a second term because of the laudable achievements you've done, the lots of works you've done in empowering women and girls in not just the economic sector or the social sector. You're also providing a platform to have more women in your government. So women want to vote for you. The AfriWomen want to vote for you en masse. And we're not just talking about myself, our husbands, our sons, our fathers, or people that we can influence in our community. We're talking about people coming out for you, voting for you, and all the people in your group of from the House, from the councillors to the chairman at local ward level, to the House of Assembly, House of Representatives, the Senate, and your very self. Reason why I want to vote you, I voted you previously and I would vote you again. I'm not going to be speaking about that. I'm going to be speaking about, from our women's perspective, women representatives are here from all of our centers and areas that we've impacted since 2017. Some of them are as far back as 2017, which goes as far as Oyo and Odogun, which I believe is in the Iseyin local government. So these women are going to be here, and they're going to be speaking to you about the reason why they want you and the rest of the people in your camp to come back in 2023 as our governor and representatives at all the various levels of governance. So I'm inviting you to come with me and meet these representatives. Some of them are men. They're the husbands of our beneficiaries, because they've been saying to us, "Mommy, Edawapo, why are you not impacting on men?" But I will say, I didn't have the revelation, or I didn't have the message that I should impact on the lives of men. I would impact on the life of men, not directly, but indirectly through women and the boy and the girl child. So come with me and meet our women. However, we're still struggling at the AfriWomen in spite of this, because accessing finance is very difficult, and we need finance if you're doing humanitarian and philanthropy work. Actually, humanitarian work, if you're doing that, I take that back. If you're doing that, you're going to need a lot of resources to plow into the NGO. And because of past experiences, accessing finance to grow an NGO to meet the goals that it sets for itself, or to satisfy or assist its beneficiaries effectively, has been cut down by NGOs who have taken advantage of opportunities in the past, and those opportunities have become even harder for us as humanitarians to actualize the goals we set for ourselves. So funding is a big issue. You apply for international funding now, they're asking for you to be in existence in 2-3 years. Most of them are 3 years. Audited accounts, impact of the works you've done, what you've done, proof of the works you've done, i.e. you have a website that showcases all of these things cost a lot of money. And to even access international funding, you're competing with big conglomerates, organizations, government, state government, federal government, because they are all going for the same opportunity as well. So it's been very challenging running the AfriWomen Affairs as CEO and founder as well. Charitable work is very, 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 very challenging if you don't have the funding. You have to be very resourceful, you have to be very proactive, you have to be very organized, you have to learn how to manage very limited resources and make it stretch. So if people, most times people ask me, how do you do it? I just say it's the grace of God and a lot of wisdom and a lot of good people around me. I wouldn't be able to do this without very wonderful staff that have walked the journey with me and volunteers as well. So I've had the opportunity and privilege of having people from diverse fields of learnings, young and vibrant women and young women and men who are serving Nigeria through the NYSC scheme. I've also had people who have finished their NYSC and graduated. I also have people who are not graduates who are passionate about the cause of women and pushing it forward, and the girl child as well. I call those men, I call them champion men and boys. They are very active, they're very passionate, and they understand where women are marginalized and discriminated against, and they go all out, especially when we have field works. They're very good with the cameras, they're very good with logistics, they're very good with protecting our women when we go out as well. I've also had the opportunity of working with a lot of fantastic women who lead by example as well. They're very passionate about the causes of women and girls. The way AfriWomen is run is very democratic, and I think this is essential when you're running an NGO. It's an emotional thing. It's a journey that brings a lot of empathy into it, and it's a journey that if you neglect to take the perspective of other people on board, you will miss out, because everyone has different upbringing, orientation, and our orientation and upbringing shapes the way we think, the outlook we have to challenges in life. They help us focus on how to identify challenges, how to overcome these challenges. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity to work with people who have experiences, mass communication, the media, accountants, people who have experience in social work, people who have experience in psychology, people who have experience in, I'm looking at human English, they're very good with administrative work, they're very good with field work. All these people that I've mentioned from diverse fields, we all come together, and it's a big bowl of fruit salad where you have all the colors, kaleidoscope of colors, but in this regard is wisdom, a kaleidoscope of wisdom, experience, orientation, background, outlooks to life, different personality. We need that because our beneficiaries also have a big basket of salad, mixture, temperaments and all of that. And it's very key that I, as CEO, had this group of women and men, young and matured, that work with me on this journey. I'm very grateful to them. Without them, AfriWomen would have been able to achieve all these things that we have done. They wouldn't be able to give me, I wouldn't be able to have hope when things are very hard. And I ask myself, why am I doing this? Why am I spending my retirement investment? Why am I spending on total strangers? I have these young people tell me all the beautiful things that our beneficiaries say about AfriWomen, about the impact we have in their lives, and I have them pat me on the back. I have them say to me, you're doing very well, Ma, you can do better, and we're going to walk the journey together. We're going to achieve all the goals and all that we plan for the AfriWomen. These are fantastic women. I say big thank you to them. I do not take you for granted. I really value your input at every aspect, every role that we're playing at AfriWomen. And I want to invite you to meet this group of women, the current ones. The past ones, I wouldn't mention their names, but you know who you are. I'm very grateful to you, and I look forward to seeing you again. Please don't forget or fail to stop by at AfriWomen. You're part of this journey, and it's nice for you to know the work that you started is growing in leaps and bounds, and we still have that same faith and resilience that you have and you brought into AfriWomen. I hope you're doing well as well. For my current staff, please come and meet them. They will tell you about AfriWomen from their own perspective and what we're doing at AfriWomen. I mentioned about the challenges which we face, which is usually funding. We also face the challenges of sometimes we have people who are not passionate about humanitarian work, and they're in AfriWomen, so sometimes it's very hard for them to see what we see. So it's a case of human power in terms of powering AfriWomen. Sometimes we have challenges where staff come and go, and sometimes I feel discouraged. They just go to greener pastures where somebody can pay them more than I can pay them. Unfortunately, I have very limited fund. So we're back to human resources as a challenge, taking us back to funding. Funding is a big challenge for us. I want to say that our community, sometimes I find it that people don't want to give because of the bad names that have been given to NGOs, because people believe you start an NGO to personally line your pocket. But they forget that some of us are in this journey, and we've been walking and working this journey for a long time. And some of us were even born into it, like I was born into philanthropy. My kids were born into it from when they were young. They haven't even started walking, but they're sitting in pushchair, and we're doing philanthropy work for church, or we're doing it for community. They watch me volunteer. My children grew up volunteering. Their services is a compulsory way, because that's the only way you can be rich in life. That's the only way you can know about the challenges of other people, and that's the only way you can practice gratitude for being alive, for having what you have. So I'm expecting from people ask me that question, what are you expecting from people and government? From government, I'm expecting collaboration. I'm expecting you to embrace more NGOs like myself, that are individuals that are doing a lot of work, don't make a lot of noise, but are out there impacting and collaborating with you to actualize your own goals and your mandates for the state which you govern. Looking at them, recognizing us, acknowledging that we exist, and partnering us in so many activities that their government has earmarked for the growth of the state. This is not only in terms of funding us, it's also in terms of involving us in policy making. We're the people who interact with grassroots women. We're the people who understand where the shoes pinches, because some of our grassroots women also work as volunteers. So we're walking the shoes of how we actualize the goals of AfriWomen through their eyes. So it's important that government recognizes our input into laws, legislation, policies, implementation, actualizing goals, that we participate as stakeholders. That will mean a lot to people like myself and the people who work with us and our beneficiaries as well, to know that they're being represented, their views are being represented. Theories are different from practice. They're way miles apart. They're not the same. It is theory. Theory become realized when you put it into context of community, of families. That's when it become alive. That is when you learn how the policies you've made as government would unfold, and whether it needs adjustment, whether it needs extra input. We also like funding from government. I can't say that over and over enough. Funding, it also goes back to funding. Funding us NGOs, it will mean a lot to us.